Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an evening with William Shatner. He's the editor-in-chief of Germany's oldest film magazine, Cinema. Please welcome your moderator for this evening, Philip Schultz.
Vielen, vielen Dank. Das letzte Mal, als ich aus so einem roten Vorhang kam, da war ich in der Grundschule, habe Alibaba und die 40 Räuber gespielt. Ich war aber keiner von den 40 Räubern, sondern glaube ich ein Esel. Wenn es damals das schon in 1000 Nacht gegeben hat, keine Ahnung. Jetzt kommen wir jetzt zum Highlight des heutigen Abends, nämlich zu dem Mann, weswegen Sie überhaupt gekommen sind. Ich habe gelesen in den Fragen schon aus dem Publikum, aus Holland sind welche da, aus Hamburg komme ich ja auch her, aus München. Es ist schon sehr gut verteilt, da freue ich mich sehr drüber. Und wollen noch gar nicht so lange warten, ich will gar nicht groß rumsabbeln. Kommen wir zu dem Mann also, Golden Globe für Boston Legal, Emmy für Boston Legal, eine Figur kreiert, die heißt TJ Hooker, bin ich auch mit aufgewachsen, fand ich mega. Und natürlich the one and only James T. Kirk. Aber bevor wir ihn auf die Bühne bitten, natürlich mit einem Riesenapplaus, gucken wir noch mal ein bisschen in seine Karriere in einem kurzen Blick hinein.
William Shatner.
Idiot, you used my real name.
Hooker, just tell me what you want, huh? I want to close it down. You're gonna have to do your own dirty work now. Do you hear me? Bloodsucker. Don't worry about it.
What happens to us after we die?
Mr. Crane, we do not allow firearms in the courtroom.
It's just a broadcast, huh? Loaded. You must be the new kid.
I'm a master of disguise.
As am I.
As am I.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You got all this case specifically covered.
I do.
Dinner.
Is this any way to greet your supreme leader?
Can I call you Captain? No. Please?
Save yourself.
Fluent in 37 languages.
Fellas, it looks like we're facing a knockout.
I think this is the greatest day of my entire life.
One day then even girl. Something to ponder. Looked out the window. I saw something going the flame. Calm me down. They gave me something called alcohol.
I run a charity horse show called the Priceline.com Hollywood Charity Horse Show. I've seen miracles happen with children and with veterans who've had ills of one kind or another that have been made better, if not well, by being on a horse.
So please welcome Mr. William Shatner.
It's embarrassing. Well, it is, you know. The film was made 40 years ago, and then I come out. You know? So the young lady with her child said, "Oh, come here, Charlie, here's Captain Kirk." And the kid's looking around for him. "Oh, hey, Captain Kirk over here." I went to, oh, please sit down. No, you have to be quiet. So I went to buy my ticket to come to Essen, you know, handed the guy at British Airways my credit card, and he looked at my credit card, and then he looked at me, and he said, "Is that you?" And he said, "My God, how time flies." So here I am, you know. Let me just spend a moment putting this film into its context. Star Trek is a showbiz phenomenon. There's never been anything like it, and for the foreseeable future, there will not be anything like it, because it's 55 years in the making, and a show would have to run 55 years for it to be like the equal. Oh, and that's like Star Trek. And I won't be around in 55 years. And I don't know about you, but I won't be. So, as far as we know, as far as I know, it's absolutely unique phenomenon in showbiz history. Why? Because that film started the whole thing. And here's how I imagine, and part of this I know, it began. So, Star Wars. Star Wars begins, and it makes a great deal of money. So the executives of Paramount Studios are sitting around the table. Now I'm imagining this, and they're saying, "That Star Wars is making so much money for 20th Century Fox, and we're Paramount, and we don't have, what have we got? What have we got that could be the equal of Star Wars?" And I imagine a little guy serving coffee. Says, "Well, yeah, you remember that thing 6-7 years ago? It was on for 3 years in the Star Trek?" And the executives of Paramount must have gone, "Yes! Star Trek, we'll make a movie, and it'll be bigger and better than Star Wars. Let's hire a big-time director, Robert Wise. We'll go after Robert Wise, whose exploits, as you only too well know, West Side Story, name me a couple more Robert Wise movies. Citizen Kane. I was going to get to that. He worked as the editor for Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. He was a great editor. So he goes home. This I know to be true. He goes home to his wife, Millicent, and he says to Millicent, "Millie, I've been asked to direct a thing called Star Trek, and you know, I don't think so." And she says, "Are you crazy? I love Star Trek. You've got to do it, Bobby." So Bobby says, "Okay, I'll direct it." So he directs the film, and he does it really well, but it goes slowly for reasons, and especially the special effects that John, special effects on Star Trek.
Audience question.
That's your first question, and you failed. So, John. No, see, he wasn't Dykstra, although he was around. Anyway, I'll think of it. So, this great guy for special effects works long and hard. Now, special effects back then aren't like today, where they can paint them and and they make great movies out of drawing on a computer. No, back then it was much more arduous, and the guy took forever to do it. And so we're all sitting in a theater in Washington, D.C., and the film literally comes in off the plane, and they play the film.
that night, and nobody had seen it before. And Robert Wise, the great editor, didn't have a chance to edit the film like he would have. And so, Star Trek the movie was okay, and it ultimately made money. But, and I know this to be true, the head of Paramount went back to his home, and he said to his wife, you know, we made this movie called Star Trek, it didn't make any money. I'm never going to make a movie of Star Trek again. She says, are you crazy? I love Star Trek, you got to do Star Trek. He says, okay, what I'll do is I'll give the film to the television department, and they can make it for less money, which is what happened. So the television department makes a feature film called The Wrath of Khan. And it's a big success. And out of that film, from that film, all the other iterations of Star Trek began. So you could say that the Me Too movement began Star Trek. Let us begin.
Let the games begin, right?
That's another movie.
It is.
Yeah. So you know that this is like one of the great, Philip is one of the great movie editors. And his magazine now that he runs, Cinema magazine, is one of the top. So we've got a real brain, a man who understands film more than anybody. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much.
What?
It's a great pleasure for me to host this evening. So we just saw Wrath of Khan. Why do you think is this movie still affecting the audience?
You know, it does. Well, the best of Star Trek, I think the reason Star Trek stayed on the air and became successful when it was sent out to smaller stations and it was at a better time slot. I think the reason Star Trek has remained in all of our consciousness are the stories that they told. The best of Star Trek had great stories that had a meaning, had a philosophical meaning behind it, and yet was dramatic and fun to watch. And this film is the epitome of that. Had a great story, and the characters you love were involved, and so when Star Trek went into syndication, which was the word I was trying to think of, it became popular as a result of telling wonderful stories.
And how do you see the recent sci-fi movies?
How
do you see the recent sci-fi movies in cinemas right now, like the Marvel?
Well, you got to understand, and I know you do, and I know we all do here, that we're in jeopardy. The Earth is in jeopardy. Dystopian movies about the ending of the world. And I'm reading a book right now. In fact, about 9 chapters in, the author of the book says, which is all about what's going to happen in the next 50 to 100 years. He says, if you're still reading this, you're a real dedicated person, because it's so filled with all the awful things that are going to happen if we don't do something quickly about global warming. So the reason I think science fiction is popular is because it offers us a chance to imagine that the future, that technology, did you just cough? I admire Yeah, I mean, can you understand? They limit the audience to 1,000. 1,500. No. You're liable to catch something at 1,500, 1,000. You're okay. So Star Trek offers a positive note about that we will do something we'll be around in 200-300 years living this marvelous, technical, satisfactory life. And I think that's the reason this science fiction is popular. But not only that, you know, I write on some occasions science fiction, and it's a matter of imagining what you think the future will hold. And the lovely part of that is that anybody's opinion is as good as anybody else's. We don't know what our next breath is going to bring. Maybe it's a cough. Maybe it's good fortune. Maybe it's bad. We don't know the next moment what the future will bring. So anybody can imagine the future. 100 years from now, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. You can't argue with that. That's your opinion. So somebody writing science fiction has to imagine the future, but if he writes it well, his opinion or her opinion is equally valid.
And talking about like politics and things like that, I have the first question from the audience,
yes.
From Henrik Hamburg. Do you see political ideas or thoughts in Star Trek that should be realized in current politics?
And I'm not quite grasping that. Say that again. He says,
like
the ideas, the political
ideas, thoughts in Star Trek that were shown in Star Trek
yes.
that affect the modern life.
Should they should be some of the rules. Well, absolutely. I mean, it's ideal to say that one of the prime directives of Star Trek is non-interference. Right? Go down to a planet, and we're not interfering. It's against the rule. But there's no story unless you interfere. So we go down to a planet and say, "What are you doing?" You know, and have the story told. Yes, the rules of Star Trek, of love and all the ideal things that Roddenberry thought of are the rules of Star Trek. But in order to tell a passionate, action-filled story, you need conflict, so you've got to invent conflict. In fact, after the Star Trek I was in, The Next Generation came about, and I did a documentary on the trouble that The Next Generation had when Roddenberry, by this time, this was now, you know, maybe 10 years later, I'm not quite sure of the exact time, but maybe 10 years after he started the original Star Trek, The Next Generation began, and by that time, Roddenberry had evolved to saying in the future there will be no conflict. So now he told the writers, you have to follow that. There can be no conflict in Star Trek because they've evolved beyond that. So the writers said, well, how do we tell the story? That's your problem. And that was the conflict on The Next Generation for 2 or 3 years until Roddenberry died. And then Roddenberry died and they started telling conflicting stories, stories of conflict. No, that was, what happened was there was like a rebellion. There was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes in The Next Generation because of this edict. And so when writers would come in and they'd say, well, I've got this story where
Picard. Jean-Luc.
That's it. Where Picard has to fight. No, Picard wouldn't fight, no conflict. And they had to surmount that. And how they did that, I don't know, especially the first year. But by the second or third year, they had gained their stride, and away they went.
Could you tell us something about working with Gene Roddenberry?
Well, Gene Roddenberry had been a policeman. He had been a pilot for one of the major airlines, and he had always wanted to write. So out of his experiences of flight and organization and being a policeman, a cop, he had seen life in its rawness, seen the good life, the bad life, And out of that, because he had this vivid imagination and he was very creative, he brought about this idea of a spaceship patrolling the outer reaches of the galaxy, alone on the ship, just the crew, dealing with these entities that were good and bad and beneficial and harmful. And that was his premise. Then he had the sense to hire the best people to write and direct and act. and he put this all together. Now, what was of interest to me was that writers, for the most part, and I'd be interested in your opinion on this, writers, for the most part, become writers because they can't deal with people. They would rather be walled off in a room and writing, conjecturing a story and not dealing with people. There began, at some point in television, a writer/producer. Now, a producer has to deal with people. You shouldn't be doing that. You've got to do that. You're fired, you're hired. And he's making life and death decisions with people, which is the antithesis of what a writer would like to do. So a writer-producer is in conflict from the beginning. And that was part of Gene Roddenberry's problem, I think. He preferred to be alone in a room writing a lovely story as against dealing with people. So he was successful and unsuccessful. And just to continue the story, we made the first 13 hours of Star Trek, and by that time management at Paramount said, "You're great, Gene, you should be an executive producer and we'll put somebody else in." So for the next 2.5 years, Gene had very little to do with the day-to-day running of Star Trek that I was in. Then Star Trek is canceled and everybody goes their way, including Gene. And 10 years later, management is saying, we got to do something about a film. What was the name of that guy who did that 3 years at Roddenberry? Let's get Roddenberry. So they get Roddenberry to produce the movies. He's equally unskilled with people making the movies. So they kick him upstairs, becomes the executive producer, and other people produce the movies. And that's the way that went. It's the story of human nature. You get two people together, you don't know what's going to happen. You get a cast of hundreds of people, crew and cast of 100 people, hundreds of people. Humanity takes over and there's all kinds of good and bad things happen. As what's his name, the heavyweight champion of the world said, you can have a plan. What was Tyson? Mike Tyson said, yes, everybody has a plan going into a boxing. And the moment you get hit in the face, it's the end of the plan. The general said that about war. You can have a plan. As soon as a shot is fired, out the door goes the plan.
One of the most emotional scenes in Wrath of Khan is the death of Spock at the end.
Yes.
Do you know when it was shot?
Yes, I was there.
I know. Could you describe your feelings when you...
I can, and I will. I remember going into the producers, it wasn't Gene Roddenberry, office, and him saying, you know, we're working on the script, and we're going to kill Spock. No, you're going to kill Spock. No, well, Leonard doesn't want to do it anymore. Leonard doesn't want to do it anymore, and so we're going to kill Spock. I said, wow, jeez, Leonard doesn't want to do it anymore? Wait, oh my God, that's terrible. He said, yeah, we're going to kill Spock. He said, I think we should, you know, put him in a room and closet and he's radiation. I said, well, why don't you make the room clear? And then we'll put our hands up and I'm describing what became the scene. They took it and so Spock dies. Now he's dead. And I'm thinking, how am I going to put my kids through college? Leonard became the brother I never had, much later. During this time, it was nice, friendly, professional, but...
He wasn't difficult, right?
No, he wasn't difficult.
Because he was in his character.
What?
He was in character all the time.
He was in character. He stayed in Spock. So you'd see Leonard just there. And not much transpired during that period of time. Lovely man, a great guy, and I loved him very much. Spock is dead. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you later. So Spock is dead. And I'm thinking, why would he do that? And then I hear that he's in negotiation with the studio to direct the next film. If he comes back, he says, let me direct the next film. A son of a gun. No wonder he played them perfectly. And the beauty was that when he got to direct the film, I got to direct it. We had this clause. So I was busy working on the fourth film, so he directed the fourth film, and I directed the fifth film, which is glorious. I'm sure you will admit that.
And we all know that you have a very close relationship with Leonard Nimoy.
Well, I love Leonard. I wrote a book called Leonard, and like I say, we got very close. Mostly what happens in a film or play, something long running, other than a week of work, but things that take months to do or sometimes years. Laurence Olivier once called the audience the monster. Because if you're standing in the wings waiting to come on, and like you're just before the curtain goes up, what you hear backstage is the monster is talking. And the monster needs to be fed entertainment. They need to cry, they need to laugh. You have to remember the words, you have to do. Feeding the monster. So actors are always aware that no matter what they're doing, whether it's in front of an audience like tonight, or when you're in a play, or when you're making a film, or you're doing a television series, you're always aware that there's going to be 1,000 people in a theater looking at you saying, I don't know. So that act of feeding the monster is like soldiers in a foxhole. You're bound together by this struggle you need to do together. It bonds you like two soldiers in a foxhole. So mostly the actors love each other, depend on each other, but then something else happens. When the thing is over, the movie, or the series, or the play is over, and you say, oh God, I love you. You were so great, Leonard. You were so great. Listen, we're canceled. I'll call you the day after tomorrow. We'll have lunch. No, Leonard, no, I can't. James Spader, I can't call you. Listen, I'll call him, okay? I spent 5 years with James Spader in Boston, New York, and we haven't spoken since. We loved each other. He's gone his way, I've gone my way. I send him notes, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. But we parted because we were busy. Leonard and I Another phenomenon happened. Sometime in the early 1970s, a lady put together a Comic-Con in New York City. And she invited me and other people, Star Trek people, to come, and I said, yeah, geez, I don't want to, you know, I'm an actor, I'm an artist, I don't want to, you know, sell wares, like, hey, hello there, I'm an artist. She said, there's going to be 15,000 people there. 15,000 people. Okay, but what do I say? What do I say to 15? Hello? Hello? What are you saying? Shh. I love you too. I thought we agreed that we would keep it secret. No, you have to tell people that we love each other. So come out in front of 15,000 people and not know what you're going to do is frightening. Well, you can imagine standing in front of one person. Hi, my name is, forgot my name. 15,000, it became a challenge to stand in front of people for a half an hour and do a half an hour. On what? And that began the Comic-Cons. And that's where Leonard and I met again and spent a lot of time working on stage, taking cars to places and talking about how much we had in common. Family, birth, age, divorce, death, all the things that happen to you, happens to one in life, happened to both of us so coincidentally that it was miraculous.
And could you tell us something about your relationship with DeForest Kelley?
I can.
I would love to hear it.
Well, as much as I loved Leonard, DeForest Kelley was a beautiful Southern, American Southern gentleman, up the south of Germany. So those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know, there's something sort of very elegant and very gentle about a Southern gentleman. And that was DeForest Kelley. He was a lovely, lovely man, and I admired him and loved him. And, I used to hunt, okay? I'm not proud of that now, but years ago, it was in vogue, and I used to hunt with a bow and arrow, and I got pretty good. And a bow and arrow, you have to stalk things when you're within about 50 yards of something. So you move very, very carefully, and you're watching, and you're looking, and you're training your eye on the thing you're going to hunt. That's the way my eye. Now I don't hunt anymore, but that eye is still there. So I would see DeForest Kelley come into the studio and the stage every morning. And there was a table of food on the stage. It's called the craft service table. I don't know what craft service table. And it's got food, not because they were very generous, but because they wanted us filled with energy. So we give them a good day's work. I'd watch DeForest come in, and he'd stand there, almost pretending that he was going to choose something, but he knew exactly what he wanted every morning. Every morning, he'd come in, he'd pick up the bagel, and then he'd put it in the toaster. Punch the toaster. You could just see his whole body was like, bagel. I'm waiting for my bagel. So we shot, we filmed a lot at night. And as I'm sure most of you know, that when you work at night or you're up late at night, you're more vulnerable. You're more liable to say things to people you wouldn't say otherwise, because it's dark. one night, DeForest said to me, "Geez, Bill, well, I'm beginning to forget. I think I'm losing my mind. I'm not remembering. I don't remember keys. I don't remember names." I said, "Look, DeForest, but no, Bill, you don't understand. If I forget my words, they're like weapons. They're like tools that mechanics use, words for actors. And if I forget, I tell you, Bill, I'm beginning to forget." So he's standing over the bagel, and he's waiting for the bagel. And I see Leonard, and I say, "Leonard, distract D." So Leonard says, "D, I got a thing in my eye." And DeForest comes over, and I sneak over, I pop the toaster, and I grab the bagel, and I push the toaster back down. And DeForest comes back over, waiting for the bagel to pop up. Pops up, and there's no bagel. And you can see his whole body change. Oh my God. He takes those back. Now he's there, and then he's no longer a wagon. He's waiting for the bagel to pop. And I say, "Leonard, distract me. DeForest, I got something in my..." He moves over there. I pop the thing up, and I push it back there. And I got the bagel. I don't know what to do with the bagel. So I shove it in my mouth. DeForest comes back over. Toaster pops up, and there's no bagel. And he's looking around. And then he sees me choking on the bagel. And he says, "You son of a bitch!" He didn't talk to me for 3 days, and then another episode happened where he didn't talk to me for 3 days. See, I love dogs. I breed Doberman Pinschers, okay? Doberman Pinschers are like the greatest dogs that ever. I love big dogs. A little dog is not a dog. Yorkshire Terrier, yeah, you could sit on one, it'll bite you in the ass. No, big Dobermans, big dogs, little dogs. So he has a Yorkshire Terrier. And he came in one morning crying. "What's the matter? My dog died." I said, "Your dog died? Oh, DeForest, what happened?" He said, "Look, I took my dog, my little Yorkie out, and I said, walking the Yorkie, 'Come on, Yorkie, make poo-poo, make poo-poo, make poo-poo, Yorkie.'" And the Yorkie, "Oh, good boy, you made poo-poo, good Yorkie." And the Yorkie ran around because he was so happy he made poo-poo. And DeForest, and then he ran into a sprinkler head on his head, and he died. That's what I did. I started laughing.
Fascinating.
You can only do it once. You've gone. You can't do it again.
It's just fascinating to see you perform.
Oh,
It made my job so much easier.
what job is that?
Here's another question from the audience.
Yes.
In the highlight clip, we saw some scenes from The Big Bang Theory.
Yes, Big Bang Theory.
Yes. Could you tell us something about your experience on set? How was it like to star in
Oh, you mean
the TV show?
The what?
The TV show, The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, where I interviewed a lot of... Oh, my gosh. Oh, no, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I may have been, I think I was, the last person to interview Dr. Stephen Hawking. Did you know that? So, we had written it because we were going to do this show about the Big Bang and the sciences. So we wrote him in Cambridge, England, would he allow us? And he said, absolutely. I wrote a book called I'm Working on That many years ago. I'm Working on That, which was a quote from Stephen Hawking when he came to Los Angeles and visited the set of Star Trek. And he brought to the engine room, he said, you know, with his computer, I'm working on that. So I entitled the book, I'm working on that. It was all futuristic. But he invited me to submit questions way in advance, months in advance. So we wrote him 3 or 4 questions, and then he worked on the answer. So 3 or 4 months later, and then he said, yes, please, I got the answer. And then he wrote, and I got a question for Bill as well. Bill, wow, Dr. Stephen Hawking. And so we went to his little home, modest home in Cambridge, England. I sat in a chair here. We had a room for him here. Cameras were lined up here, and coming over there through a little way, a little hallway. He finally came in, wheeled in, and then he's wheeled in beside me here. So we're sitting face on, the camera's there, and so I'm sitting beside him, so I can see the computer that he has in front of him, because he can't speak. You all, I presume you all know, ALS as it was, and he slumped in his chair, and he's just got the brightest blue eyes, and he was just, but totally out, totally can't move the thing, except he could move his cheek muscle, and he had on his cheek muscles, he had the computer mouse. So if he twitched his cheek like that, he could move the mouse and spell I, love, L-O-V. So I'm there, and I asked him, I have to read the question, it has to be exactly the same. They got it on a card, so I read the card, ask him the question, and he presses a button, and then this recorded voice gives the answer to black holes or whatever it was I asked him. 3 or 4, and then we had asked the questions we were supposed to ask, and then I turned to him, and I had made him laugh during something, and the way he laughed was, he just reddened a little, he convulsed a little, but he was laughing. It was amusing, and I said, Dr. Hawking, you said you wanted to ask me a question, and now he says, why I would like to know why it takes a half an hour. So if you want me to go to the bathroom, I'll do it. Why your favorite episode? Dr. Stephen Hawking, master of the black hole. He wrote books on time. He wanted to know what my favorite episode of Star Trek was. Then he said, he typed out, would you like to come to dinner with me? Yes. And then I saw, in a half an hour, he had his dining room. So all of a sudden I said to the producer, wait a minute, how do you have dinner with Dr. Stephen Hawking who can't talk? I said, you better send a car for me, in an hour. He said, Bill, you can't go for an hour. You can't go for at least 2 hours. I said, I can't do 2 hours. I'll do an hour and a half. Okay. He said, I'll send the car for you in an hour and a half. I get to have dinner with him, and it was messy. I mean, they had to feed him, and it was undignified for this great man. And I'm there, and I presumed that I had to do all the talking. So I had done a one-man show on Broadway prior to being there. Did, almost 2 hours being on stage and talking. I did my one-man show at dinner, still talking, saying these things, and then there was a knock on the door. Yeah, it's the cab driver is there to pick me up. I said, Dr. Hawking, I have to go. And he said, G, O, D, B. It took 15 minutes to say goodbye. I said goodbye, Dr. Hawking. And then, not too long afterwards, he succumbed to his illness. It was a marvelous, marvelous time in the company of a brilliant mind who had not lost his humor and had no way of expressing it other than this little thing on the edge of a cheek muscle.
It's wonderful story. And being a part of a hit franchise for so long, it's often both blessing and a curse.
Oh.
Were you sometimes annoyed by Captain Kirk? Or by people referring to you as...
No, I was annoyed by members of the cast. The idea of being known as Captain Kirk, even today with all the other stuff that I've done, you're here, hey, there's Captain Kirk. And of course they go, where's Captain? Oh, wait, here! In 55 years! I love entertaining. I'm an actor all my life. It's my calling. And I've done nothing but write, direct, act, but whatever it is related to entertainment, all my life since I was 6 years old. This is where I live, okay? I live here, and when I walk into a studio, a film studio, I'm at home. This is where I belong. And a lot of that, not all of it, because I'd done some good work prior to Star Trek, but most of it is due to the celebrity that Captain Kirk has given me, and I'm here tonight having so much fun with you guys because of Captain Kirk. How could I deny that part? So no, I totally embrace Star Trek and Captain Kirk fully. I'm very grateful.
You're not only known as a very famous actor, but also known as an author of more than 30 books. You're recording CDs or music. What's coming up next? I heard it's a blues album.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked.
What's the secret?
Well, it was until now. So I've done 7, 8 albums. I made a really terrific album. Not that I'm embarrassed by any of the others, but one I did with Ben Folds called Has Been is a really terrific album. And I did a Christmas album and, as a matter of fact, a country music album this past year. The Christmas album was #2 on Billboard, and I'm not sure #2 what, but I didn't want to inquire. So it's #2 on Billboard or something. And the country music album got me an invitation to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. So I went this past year to the Grand Ole Opry, met all those legendary people, some of whom I've gotten to know over the years. On the Grand Ole Opry stage, there is, maybe 6 feet round, wooden circle embedded in the stage. It's taken from the old stage that was there from the very beginning. The Grand Ole Opry is the place where country music people go. It's like their church. They go there and they entertain there. And everybody goes. So I got an invitation, and there's something magical about that 6-foot diameter circle. And I touched it. I had the microphone, and I did the number, and it was right out of. I could feel the ghosts of the state they just welled up, you know. And they were the ghosts of all those old singers who had now passed on, the country music singers, and I love country music. I could feel their presence when I was touching that wooden circle. It was a unique experience for me.
And here we have another question from the audience.
Oh, I wanted to say that I've got a blues album that's coming out in the summertime, and I'm a Canadian from Montreal, Canada. Okay. Is it okay?
We can sit afterwards.
So here I come from this white guy from Montreal, Canada. Je parle français, mais je parle pas une autre langue. C'est anglais, oui, mais that's French. What do I know about the blues? But I have felt the pain of the blues. I have, from my soul, had the cry of the blues. I know the feeling of the blues. Did I have the voice? Could I enter the temple of the blues? Because the blues singers hold their blues music with great reverence. They don't want anybody messing with it. That's their thing. And I was in their thing, but I approached it with reverence. What songs would I sing? What's my voice? What's my voice for the blues? You play blues numbers, you hear dialects, you hear guttural sounds, it's all part of the blues. What was my voice? I had to find my voice. I went in afterwards, after some of the great blues musicians added their track to my track. And I had to change my approach to the song. I hope you'll take the time to listen to it when it comes out in the summer. I'm not quite sure what we're calling it. I think This Is the Blues is the one I want to work with. But I go home in a week and I'll shoot the cover, and then I'll shoot a video of Crossroads. You know the song Crossroads? So Raymond Johnson, the legend goes, this blues singer, who's all right, and the guitar sang, went down to the crossroads late one night, sold his soul to the devil, and the next day, he was a star. He could play and he could sing, and nobody could explain how this moderately successful, talented singer from Mobile, Alabama, wherever it was, overnight had this talent. They couldn't explain it. So I'm going to do that on video, a modern version of Crossroads.
Looking forward to it. And here's another question from the audience referring to your great passion of dogs and horses.
Oh, yeah.
From Fami from the Netherlands, dankjewel.
Really?
Yes. It's about, could you tell us something about your new puppy, Double Espresso? Where does this name come from?
Macchiato, actually. Like I said, I wanted a dog when I was a kid. Parents would never get a dog, to get the house dirty, things like that. So the moment I had a place of my own, this young man, I fell in love with a picture of the Doberman, and I've only had Dobermans since. And I bred Dobermans, and I was at Westminster one year with a great dog whose name was Kirk. And we almost won the class. The judge went, and he went to another guy, and then I think I took a second. Reserve. So Dobermans have been my friends, my beloved friends for many, many years. A big dog like that, their existence is about 10 years. Some die of heart attacks a little earlier. Starbuck was 15 years. And we kept them alive with new diets and things. Starbuck begat Macchiato. So Macchiato was a puppy. When he was 8 months old, he won all the puppy classes. Then he couldn't make it. He had to win a three-point championship. When he was a year and a half, he won a 5-point championship, and he got his championship almost immediately, almost unheard of. Within weeks, he became this. So he's almost 2 now, and he's my puppy. He's Macchio. His sister, who's another great dog, is Espresso. That's his. So Macchiato is by my side all the time. I miss my home, I miss my wife, I miss my kids, but I miss my dog. So Mac goes with me. So before I came here, I visited a friend of mine who was a little bit ill in Beverly Hills, and he lives in a ground apartment, and he has a backyard that has a hedge, like on both sides in there, for privacy. So he's boxed in with a hedge. And there's a little pathway through that edge connecting with the neighbor. And Macchiato and I come in and we're talking. Mac lies down. Mac lies down. And we're talking, and he sent us something that was really interesting. And suddenly Bob, my friend, says, where's Macchiato? Mac, come here, Mac. I don't know, he's around. No, Bill, get Macchiato. Okay, bro. Mac, come here, boy. Macchiato, come here, boy. And my friend says, Bob says, you don't think he went through the pathway? Mac, come here. He says, I hope he didn't go through the pathway. Because the neighbor's violent. The neighbor, you don't understand. Get Macchiato, Bill, because, Mac, come here, Mac, come. Bill, get Macchiato, please. You don't understand what the neighbor's like. Macchiato! And suddenly Macchiato comes to the little passageway. He's got a brown bundle in his mouth. And my friend Bob goes, oh my God! Macchiato killed the neighbor's rabbit. Come here! And he grabs the and he tussles, and finally Macchiato gives him the bundle, and it's this big brown bundle, all dirty earth. It's a rabbit. My friend Bob says, your dog killed the rabbit. Your dog killed the rabbit. Oh my God, I don't know what she's going to do. What she's going to do, she's going to, oh my God. And he runs in, I hear the sound of water running. Then he comes out, he's all agitated, and he's bathed the dead rabbit that's now all white and fluffy. And he runs into the bath, and then he comes back. He says, I put the rabbit back in the cage. Oh my God. The door opens, and then we hear a scream. You know what a blood-curdling scream is? You can't imitate a blood because it comes from the gut. It's a gut-wrenching scream from the neighbor. And suddenly she appears in the little passageway holding the rabbit. And she's screaming, my God, it's a miracle. My favorite rabbit, Nani, died yesterday. I buried her. And today, she is a rabbit. You son of a bitch. And then I thought, wait a minute, he is a son of a bitch. I thought that was funny. You son of a bitch. Yes, I am. Was that funny? You son of a bitch. Yes, I am. No, I guess not. Because the dopamine doesn't go, yes, I am. The dopamine goes, yes, I am.
So unfortunately the time is almost...
I just started!
But I think we have one last... Going back to the Wrath of Khan, although it's a very tragic movie, it's a very dramatic movie,
Yes.
I think there must have been some very nice and funny anecdotes from shooting this
Not
film.
really.
Thank you very much.
There was one moment I love to talk about because it was unusual. So the producer says, tomorrow we're shooting outside, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to Vasquez Rocks. So Vasquez Rocks is a particularly wild part of the earthquake fault in Los Angeles. There's the earthquake fault. What? Say it again. The San Andreas, yes. Thank you so much. Will you come with me tomorrow? The San Andreas Fault, it's about 50 miles outside of LA. And a particularly wild part of the San Andreas Fault is the Vasquez Rocks. We go there, I fought the Gorn. The producer says, so we're going to shoot there tomorrow, and so everybody please get there for 4 o'clock because by the time you get into wardrobe and makeup, the sun will be up and we need to shoot every moment of sunlight, so it's critically important you get there early, okay? And I said, okay, wait a minute. I said, why don't I take the captain's uniform with me tonight and I'll put that on tomorrow morning and drive there and I'll be all ready. I'll be in wardrobe. And then, so I can sleep in another half hour. Because all I'll need is makeup. He said, oh, that's a good idea. So, that's what I did. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I put on the captain's uniform with the boots and the pants and the thing. I get in my car to drive to Vasquez Rocks. It's about 50 miles. And I like to drive fast. And the Autobahn is here, but there's no Autobahn in Los Angeles. In fact, if you go too fast, it's a felony. You go to jail going too fast. But I like to drive fast, and I'm trained to drive fast. First of all, because I can afford it, I've got fast cars. Mercedes. And you go fast. So that's what I did. I go fast, and I'm trained to go fast. There's a Willow Springs is a racing place where they train you to race at Willow Springs, a little north of Los Angeles. So when I would go to these celebrity road races, they would require you to go to Danny McCarty up at Willow Springs and take the weekend course where he would teach you slow in, fast out, drift to turn, and all the other things that are necessary to be safe in racing a car. In fact, they would show you film on what not to do. For example, Donny Osmond. Donny Osmond was shown, there was a piece of film on Donny Osmond of what not to do. So you got 5 cars abreast, other cars behind, and you race down the straightaway, you get to about 125 miles an hour. There's a right hand, an abrupt right hand turn. So the idea is to put your brakes on, turn right. Thing is, if you put your brakes on too soon, all the cars pass you. If you put your brakes on too late, something called the limits of adhesion. The front wheels turn, but the rubber doesn't grab the, you're going too fast. You go in a straight line. That happened to Donny Osmond. He went up a telephone pole, fell over backwards. So they played the film. Here's what you don't do. What Donny Osmond did, don't do. And another thing, he said, stay in the car. If something happens, stay in the car. Okay. So we're racing, and I'm not racing now. I'm going, and boom, something happens in my car, and blah, 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 when it comes to a stop. Then I see people running, and you can hear them going, it's okay, I'm staying in the car. I'm saying I'm breaking it. No, it's okay, I'm staying. Get out of the car, it's on fire, you idiot! How was I doing that? So I know how to drive fast, okay? I went to North Carolina, NASCAR. The NASCAR races. I was asked to drive in a celebrity NASCAR race, 200 miles an hour. The NASCAR cars have a fin on the back of the truck, so the air gets over the tunnel and compresses. The air compresses the back end. So counterintuitively, the faster you go, the less drift there is in the car. That's the way NASCAR. So there were 3 celebrities in a car. One had to be eliminated. If you didn't get to 190 miles an hour, you were eliminated. I'm in the car. It's late at night. The setup for me was bad. The windshield was dirty. I did 2, 3 tours. I couldn't break the habit of slow in, fast out. Finally, I had one more turn. I gotta do it. Now, I've studied karate, okay? I know there's a bit about karate. And your key is right here. When you see these guys break the brakes on, they're going, nah! And they put all their energy in it. So I thought, that's what I'll do. I'll release my key going around that curve. Now they have cameras everywhere because it's television shows. So as I come to the curve, I gotta go 109. I put my foot on the accelerator and I release my key. Now, weeks later, I watched the television show. And here's how my key came out. But I went 193 miles an hour, so I did it. So I could drive fast. But now, I'm on the freeway, and I'm going 100 miles an hour, which is a felony. I'm aware of it, but I'm driving fast because I know how to drive fast. And in my rear view mirror, I see, there. It's cops. Pull over. I go to the side of the road. Now, I don't know about the cops here. Police are here. But in California, the California Highway Patrol, the Chips, they're like leading men. They're tall and handsome and beautiful, and they wear these boots, and they wear the tight pants, and they have the shirt, the tailored shirt, they got that hat, makes them look great, and they've got sunglasses, which they wear at night. So the cop comes up to me, and I'm in my car, and he says, let me see your license. So I hand him my license. Here's my license. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Oh, dear. So I get out of the car, fix my uniform. I'm looking at him. And he's looking at me. I can't tell what he's thinking because it's dark glasses. And he says, so where do you think you're going so quickly at this hour in the morning? And I'm thinking, I'm going to jail. What the heck with it? I'm all in. I said, I'm trying to find my spaceship, okay? I give back my license. He goes that way, I go this way. And I'm dying of curiosity to see what he's doing, but I don't want to turn like that because that means you're guilty. So I haul myself up, suck it in, look at it, clutching my license. And he is over here looking at me with the dark glasses. I don't know what he's thinking. He's looking, there's a moment of tension, and then slowly he raises his arm, gives me the Vulcan salute, says, live long and prosper, and he What an incredible greeting, what an incredible goodbye. Thank you so, thank you for your courage and your bravery. I think a lot is being overstated on the viral thing. You took your courage in your hand. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for coming.
Das war's. Vielen, vielen Dank fürs Kommen. Wer hätte gedacht, dass das hier noch ein Stand-up wird heute? Mein Job war ziemlich einfach, das war gut. Mal gucken, wie das morgen in Berlin aussieht. Also vielen, vielen Dank fürs Kommen und alle, die jetzt einen VIP-Pass haben, ein Ticket haben, um einen Shatner noch ein Foto machen zu dürfen, bitte sitzen bleiben. Oh, schon okay, gut. Und alle anderen erst einmal einen sicheren und einen gesunden Weg nach Hause. Vielen, vielen Dank.